Quran so that I could read it for myself. At this stage, no, I did not want to convert. I wanted to read it and find all of the errors, find all the loopholes, point it all out, and, you know, show him how wrong it was, and maybe get him to convert over to Catholic. When I started reading it, I realized that, to start with, it was really confronting, because they talk about hell a lot. We believe in heaven and hell in Catholic. It's not a new concept for me, but I've never seen it written about so descriptively. It's actually scary, and it really put me off. I said to my husband, I can't read this. It's too strong. It's very confronting. And he said to me that, you know, hell, it's not a joke. It's not a joke. And this is his last warning. And I think that the Quran has made it quite clear. It obviously also talks about paradise and heaven and all of the wonderful things, of course. But that was the first thing that really sort of stood out to me. Knowing how respected Jesus is in the and Mary in the Bible, in the Quran, was obviously really good for me. That was one of the things I sort of flicked to all the pages first on Jesus to understand his position and what they thought of him. And everything that they said about Jesus really made sense to me. There was a lot of things in the Catholic teachings that didn't make sense to me. It was always a little bit grey. I find the Quran, I'm an accountant, so I like things black and white, and I actually found the Quran beautifully black and white, which just made everything easily fall into place. One of the things that I needed when I was reading the Quran, there was actually a lot of scientific facts in the Quran. I'm not very good at science, but simple little things in there, like he might have phrased, when he talks about clouds, he talked about the clouds as heavy clouds. Well, Google how heavy is a cloud. You would think that cloud is just light as a cloud, light as a feather. No, it's not true. God has talked about them as heavy clouds. People that say, oh, Muhammad created this religion just for himself and just for the Arabs, how could he have known, how to detail the creation of an embryo is in there. The creation of the embryo is detailed in the Quran. This is information that we've only just discovered a couple of 100 years ago or 100 years ago with the technological advances of science and technology. So it wasn't around for some guy to know. There are constant little proofs from God in the Quran to show us, this is God talking to you. What else do I have to do to show you and to tell you that this is God talking to you? The other thing that was actually important for me, Muhammad, peace be upon him, over and over and over again in the Quran, he says that I am not to be worshipped. I am not here sending out these messages for any gain. I don't want anything. Please don't worship me. You won't find with Muslims in their mosques, you won't find any statues and pictures of Muhammad. The only one that should be worshipped is God. He has asked for nothing. He has not asked for wages. He has not asked for, the Muslims don't have any direct debit system. To be a Muslim, you have to start paying to a church or to a hierarchy or any of these things. It's just between you and God. He says, God is your judge, not me. I am not your judge. It's just for God. I've been asked to convey his words to you. That's my duty, and that's what I will do. What you do with these words that he has given, that's up to you. Yeah, that was something really for me to think on. And over time, as I read the Quran, was reading the Quran, I realized my heart had changed from this questioning and from this disbelief and really wanting to find all the loopholes. It really changed into just excitement and joy, and I couldn't wait to read again. I had just fallen in love because everything was so beautifully aligned. Everything made perfect sense to me. The Shahada, so that's the declaration. How do you actually convert to Islam? Is there a big ceremony and these sorts of things? No. So I was on holiday with my husband, and I decided that I was ready to take my oath. And it was a little bit funny because my husband was like, "Oh, now they do say that when you take the Shahada, you'll cry." So much joy, tears of joy. So he was looking at me, waiting for me to cry. I was like, "No, okay, all right." And then we were getting dressed to go out, and he was off with the kids in the lounge room, and I was still getting ready in my room, and I just cried. It just came out. It was really overwhelming, and it's really difficult to describe. It was very overwhelming and very emotional. And I'm other than stress, I'm not normally an emotional. I'm generally quite a happy person. So to be crying and not knowing why, but at the same time knowing why, it's very difficult to explain. But it's like having this big, huge, gigantic bear cuddle that just says, "I've got you." And that cuddle is, it fixes every problem. That's a cuddle from God, basically, that just, all of the problems just disappeared.